Happy Wednesday, everybody. Wednesday. Where the hell's the week gone? I don't know. In and out like a fiddler's elbow is what I say. Hope you're well. Got a hell of a show for you today. Hell of a show. Two tremendous guests dealing with the most important subjects of the day. And I don't mean my new haircut. You know him. You love him. He's changed his background because he doesn't quite get enough self-promotion. Ladies and gentlemen, the king of New Malden, the stand-up queen of his local area, Neil Long.
Hello, I'm very happy to put the old background back. The problem was it looked like I was in a jail cell.
It looked awful. I don't know what the matter with it was. I like when you just had men's radio station, The Daily Show. What the hell was the matter with that, boy?
I'll give it a bash if you like, but I don't know what happened.
No, just leave it, because everybody needs to know that you are Neil Young after the gold rush. That's what people need to know. And so castles made of sand. What are you doing? What is that?
It's not Neil Young, it's Neil Long.
Well, who the hell have I been talking to for the last year?
I have no idea. Do you think you were talking to Neil Young, the rock musician, all this time?
Yeah.
Mate.
Who the hell are you?
I'm just an imposter.
But I bought your albums and like everything.
Sorry, dude. Wasn't me.
Wow. You were never with like Stephen Stills and Graham Nash. That wasn't you. Jeez.
Soz.
This is a blow. I'll be honest with you. I'm a bit shocked. Hey, I got sent this book.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a tremendous show. I'm serious. I got sent this book, and I think I'm seeing this fellow on Saturday afternoon. Neil, you should come along just for a laugh. This book is called How to Become Your Own Financial Hero, The Money Basics
Basics. Peter Komolafe.
If only it would be incredible if he was here as a guest.
Wouldn't
I
it just?
Believe,
Oh my God.
Believe it.
How do you do that?
Believe that.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Thank you.
Well, again.
Peter Komolafe, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show that never ends. or as Paul Stanley called it, the Psycho Circus, which is the Psycho Circus. Peter, how are you, fella? You good?
I've been good since the last time we spoke. A lot has happened, so
we'll hear all about that. But did you say to Julia Champion what I told you to say? Did you walk up to her and just go boobtastic and see what happened?
No, I didn't. I'm not sure that I would, to be honest.
No, Peter.
That's probably a relatively good move, Peter, I would say.
Peter, I don't know why people don't trust me. Trust me on this, Peter. I promise you will be her number one client, along with all her other number one clients. Anyway, she's a great person, and she's lucky to have you, cool. And you're lucky to have her because she's a lot of fun, and she's actually genuine, which in the world of PR, my God, is few and far between. Now,
indeed,
you came on before. I saw this book, gone through it, not in enormous details. I've been a bit busy for things that reasons I can't tell you. I can write in my own book, which I just finished at 1:00 this morning, which is another design book. Tell us about this, The Money Basics.
Well, the book is kind of like a culmination of all of the things that I've learned through 15 years in financial services, through retail banking, corporate banking, wealth management. And it chronicles a little bit of my own personal struggles with money, chronicling being homeless, sleeping on the streets, and how I've been able to turn some of that around to get into a place where I feel financially secure, which is a far cry from where I was when I was bouncing checks to eat because I was on the streets. Jeez. And then struggling with debt for 15 years. So it's called The Money Basics. It has the basic formula at its core. And the basic formula is essentially 5 key principles to help anyone become their own financial hero.
You see, I actually, by the way, now you're here, I'm going to have you on my I do a podcast, and it's called Walk the... We haven't launched it yet. We've done 8 episodes, myself and Mark Collin. And Neil should come on this. Actually, I'd like you on it as well, Neil.
I'd love to.
It's called Walk the Talk, The Hero's Journey. And one of our guests has been Gerald Ratner, for example. for you to go where you were, which is, I'm just going to put it out there, everybody's nightmare, and my particular personal nightmare, to where you are now. I hate the word journey. It reminds me of bloody X Factor and all that garbage. But for you, it really has been a journey, and quite incredible.
Yeah,
Quite
but you know what?
inspirational
I-
is the point.
I'm really thankful for the journey. I mean, look, when you're in the midst of like trouble and despair, it doesn't feel enjoyable, and it isn't enjoyable in any way. But
Sure.
I honestly, when I look back on it now, I'm thankful because it's got me to this point, and it's the combination of all of those experiences that have got me to this point. So, would I go back and change anything? Probably not. But I guess
You
I'm one of the lucky ones to be able to say that.
Peter, I don't know what you think about this now. Peter, the thing is this, we've interviewed thousands of people and they always say, oh, I wouldn't change a thing. And I'm sitting there going, no, because now you're a success. Man, I would change so much. I would change tons if I had a time machine.
Well, that's what they say. Life can only be sort of reviewed retrospectively, can't it? When you're in the thick of it, you can't really see
100%.
I heard a great phrase that from a really good teacher of, shall we say, life principles, and he says it's a really good attitude to have, that life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. So in other words, the quicker you can take the positive lesson out of what's happening and then move on, because there is something to be learned in everything, I would say. So good or bad.
I lump that with the awful Nietzsche quote, which I loathe, which is, that which doesn't kill you makes you strong. No, it doesn't. It really kicks you in the head and beats the crap out of you. It's not a good thing.
But oftentimes it is character building, and I think that's
the
big lesson.
Then I must have the character of like Aquaman meets Thanos in that case.
But those are great characters, though. Those are very good characters.
But I destroy universes. So I think it kind of works out. It's the yin and yang of life. You're being watched, by the way, Peter, from New York, from Elizabeth Green, and from the middle of Spain by Chrissy Richards. And of course, this will mean nothing to anybody except Russ. If you could change the past, would you have gone to Barry and Marilyn's wedding? Yeah, because it cost £1. Longer. Right. Tell us your principles. Tell us the principles about your book.
All right. Okay. So there are 5 principles at the core of the book. Let me just start with what financial hero actually means. So being your own financial hero is this idea that you can get to a space where you're making choices out of freedom in opposed to necessity. So the basic formula are the 5 principles that got me there, and I know will help other people get there too. So the first one, being B, is the age-old boring word of budgeting. Just understanding where your money is going. But in the book, I try to simplify and give some kind of formula to how you actually do budgeting. So it's a platitude to say, spend less than you earn. I think everybody understands that. It makes absolute sense. But what I try to do in the book is try and get people to think about their budget in 3 distinct pots.
Tell you what I found, Peter, that money habits, what I found, and this is my own experience, Peter, that money habits are set by the age 7. And those are my good friends, David Whitbread and
I was going to talk to you about that in a minute, actually.
My dear friend.
I was going to talk to you about that in a minute because it's a really interesting point, but I'm fascinated what the 5 pillars are, first of all. So we've got budgeting, first of all.
Yeah. So within budgeting, I talk about, thinking about your expenses in 3 distinct pots. You've got your essentials, which is the stuff you have to pay for, your rent, your electric, your gas, those kind of things. Yep. Your non-essentials, which will be the things that you enjoy doing. But I always encourage people, and this is something that I've seen with wealthy people when I've worked with them as a financial advisor, is they have another pot, which is their other pot. And that's where you allocate money for future goals. So it might be sending kids to university or purchasing a house or planning for retirement. You have 3 distinct pots.
I think those
and the next one,
sailed,
which is which is the A, is avoid debt. I mean, as a society, I guess we're accustomed to debt and the utilization of debt, but it's really about understanding how it works. Good debt versus bad debt, understanding how interest rates work, and more importantly, through the book, trying to acknowledge and understand that debt can often cost you more than money. I mean, there are a lot of mental health.
Say that again.
Debt can cost you more than money because there are impacts on our mental health. So when I was struggling with my debt, I had anxiety. I used to have panic attacks. I had depression. I wasn't sleeping well.
Yep, been there.
At the time, I thought it was okay because, I was going through it at the time. But writing the book, I realized actually those are mental health issues. So the S is save early. So again, trying to get into that routine. And this is something I wish people had told me when I was 18. Take your monthly wage, and whether that be 10% or 5%, save that. Form the habit. Because 5%, 10% may not sound big, but as you earn more money, you actually save more money. The I is invest early, because let's face it, the world is run by corporations who manufacture products and deliver services that are integral to the way that we live. So it's all about being not just a consumer, but an owner. And then the C is all about credit scores, because that will heavily impede you from getting on the poverty ladder, starting businesses, those kind of things, accessing
the only thing
good debt.
Out of all of those, and boy, oh boy, I wish I'd have met you when I was 18. Unlikely, of course, is credit score. And I'm really fussy about that. And to my amazement, I have an excellent, God only knows how, but I have an excellent credit. Makes me die. Makes me think there's no correlation between reality and the credit score nonsense. But anyway, I wish I had, when I was a kid, started saving and starting a pension, because I don't know what your experience is, Peter, but when you're young and you're doing crazy stuff, you think, well, I'm never going to get old. And if I do get old, that's 1,000 years away. I've got forever. And I need that money now.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I wish I had what I'd spent. You're right. I can't argue with anything you say. You're absolutely right. For me, it's too late, but for others, you're a prophet.
On the pension side, it's interesting. I was just going to say, on the pension side, it's actually quite interesting, because I did the same thing when I was 24, 25, first started, working in a decent job that had a pension. I just thought, it's 30 years away, it's 40 years away. And I always say this, it creeps up on you like wrinkles. Like, you don't see it coming, but they're there all of a sudden. And I wish that I'd certainly done things a little bit differently when I was younger and started paying even small amounts into a pension early, because it's theories like compound interest that we don't get taught in school that come into play that make a whole world of difference.
Didn't Einstein say that was one of the miracles of the universe?
Indeed. And I mentioned that in the book. It's incredible. It's how people generate wealth and create wealth, really. When you talk about investing, it's one of the key components of that. And we need to teach that more in schools.
I agree. Back to debt. I was taught at a financial seminar once that there was good debt and bad debt. See if what you say in the book correlates with what I was taught. And it did make sense to me at the time. Bad debt would be me spinning out on a speedboat. I'm only going to... Actually, this is quite distasteful, but I read this in another financial book once. The advice was, if it flies, floats, or fornicates, just rent it. Which was a bit rude.
Ever, by the way.
But not bad advice. But basically, bad debt would be going out and buying a speedboat, and then never being able to pay that money back or buy it to show off or whatever. But a good debt would be, let's say, if I was a farmer and I bought a tractor and I'm gonna get the money back because of my investment.
So
is
Neil
that
Long,
a reasonable definition?
So Neil Long, you would say that when I actually didn't have any money and I went to an auction and on a whim bought a 1963 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray split screen and put it across 3 credit cards, all of which I owed, probably wasn't good debt. Going out on a limb there.
It wouldn't fit into the definition of good debt, to be honest with you.
Not at all. No. I mean, we talk about this in the book, right? So good debt is anything that you can purchase using debt, but either does 2 things. It either increases your income, so it's a vehicle to increase your income. So, for example, the speedboat, it could be good debt if it's a business and a result where
I was running a speedboat company and doing high-paying trips, yes, exactly. Basically, if I'm going to get a return on my investment,
absolutely, or something that adds value to your net worth. So, those are the 2 really main measures around whether a debt is good or bad. If it does neither of those things, then it's essentially a bad debt. Car finance is a prime example, unless you're getting maybe a really sought after classic car that will appreciate in value. Then that could be classed as good debt. But generally speaking, car finance is a very good example of bad debt these days.
Right. So my definition fits in. And the other thing I was going to say was there's an awful lot of books on the mindset of money, and you touched on that because I think it's fairly accepted science now, I suppose, that our beliefs, our belief systems, our BS is basically inculcated into us by the age of 7, because from the age of 0 to 7, we're like sponges and we just soak up everything from the environment, true or false. And then our beliefs are formed, and then we make our beliefs, and our beliefs make us, and then we live out the rest of our life living those beliefs until we bring them up and look at them and change them, until we do these kind of, sorry, Russ, journey, hero's journey of self-awareness, whatever you want to call it. And most of us have got negative beliefs about money. What did we all hear about money growing up? Money doesn't grow on trees, which actually, before it became plastic, if you think about it, it kind of does. But I wasn't facetious enough to say that at the time when I heard it, but that's the big one. We're not made of money. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work really hard for money. Money is difficult. People are going to try and steal your money. No one can be trusted, on and on and on and on and on. I think I read a book by a personal development guru who'd identified something like 400 potential negative beliefs that we hold about money. So no wonder we're no good with it. Money is the root of all evil. There's another one, which is not what the Bible says, by the way, or means. So, your thoughts on that? The mindset, the belief system behind it. What do you think about that,
guys? I've got bad internet. I'm going to log out and you carry on, but my internet's driving me mad. I don't know why, because it's fiber optic.
Sure.
I'll be back in a moment.
Of course. Yeah. Just you and me, sir. But money belief systems.
So mindset is integral. It's so important. So in the book, I actually ask people what their first memory of money is, and I recant mine, because when we're growing up, we take in so much, and it's subconscious a lot of the time. And for me, when I was about 6 or so, I started to notice that my next door neighbor, when he had dinner, like the kitchen, the smells coming out of the kitchen smelled wonderful. And when I looked at our food in the house, it was very, very different. And in kind of analyzing what that meant and the impact that it had, what it did for me was it embedded this kind of like scarcity mindset of, we don't have money. We can't afford that kind of food. And that wasn't a problem when I was 6 or 7, but it did become a problem when I started working in Canary Wharf and I started to earn good money, because the mindset of, you've never had money is scarce. It means I'm now making all of this money. I should go and buy all the things that I've always wanted, which I thought were the symbol of success, if you will. So it's those little lessons that we learn when we're much, much younger that persist and form habits, notions, ideas, beliefs that we then act out in physical form through, in my case, my spending habits, buying a pair of Giuseppe trainers for £1,000, £1,000 suits, and so on and so forth.
So wait a minute. So you're saying that when you started earning good money, you spent more money to kind of compensate, or you didn't? Sorry, I missed that.
I did, because I thought, well, money is scarce. I'm making all this money now. I might as well just spend it, in opposed to use it.
I see. So
properly.
So your belief was get while the getting's good, because it won't always be good. And that's another belief system. Another common one is, it's wrong for me to be wealthy when there are people struggling in the world. But in an abundance mindset, presumably, if the books I'm reading are correct, we live in a very abundant universe. It's kind of, it's unlimited. Where's the lack? And if you take from unlimitedness, you're not taking from anybody else. And in fact, the best thing you can do to help poor people is to become wealthy and, turn the healing corner as such and teach these principles so other people can join you. Success leaves clues and all that. You can't help the poor by becoming one of them any more than you can help the ill by becoming ill yourself. It's like trying to screw for virginity. You can't do it.
100%.
It's well into, in my opinion. I'm going to read your book. It sounds super interesting. Yeah, super interesting. Tell us some more about it.
So, I mean, in the book, so I try to cover a lot of I think fundamentally, because it is a money book, I didn't want it to be kind of like just spouting platitudes that most people would agree with, without being able to give people a direction to implement what I'm talking about in terms of changes, suggested changes, things that I've done.
Good for you. There's so many books that do that. They put this seemingly unattainable ideal out in front of you, and then don't tell you how to do it. So I'm really glad you said that.
Exactly. So for me, it was about, okay, so how can I make it as practical as possible? And how can I get people to key into something that has a tangible value to them to instigate change? Because what we're asking people to change here are habits. And habits,
Mm.
bad habits die hard. It is so hard to break a habit. And so you need a tangible reason to do so. And so a lot of it is about mindset, psychology. And what I do at the very, very top of the book, I set a task and exercise, well, 3 tasks in exercise 1. I get people to think about, right, what's important in life? What's your why? What are the things that you care about? You rate
Yeah.
the areas that are most important to you. You highlight areas that you want to improve. That's in general life. Then we go one subset down and we start having to look at your finances, because the likelihood is that if on the sphere that I've created for the book, that's in the book, you say you want to spend more time with family, you're probably going to need enough money to be able to take 2 days off
Exactly.
work a week. So what areas
Yeah.
of your finance are you not happy with, or do you feel there's room for improvement for, in order to make that happen? So we're trying to key people into, right, what's your why? What matters? Because once you key into that, and it worked for me, it did wonders for me, the changes that you have to make become less painful, especially if you're trying to break a long-standing habit that you never thought was harmful in the first place.
Because
But
the
you come to
habits don't
realize it
ultimately
was.
serve you, particularly as we grow and become more mature. I mean, they certainly didn't serve you. I don't know anyone with negative beliefs about money who those beliefs actually serve. They do need bringing to the light of consciousness, if you like, if I want to put it in a better way, and examining and saying, do these beliefs really serve me anymore? But to have the awareness that they are just beliefs, because people see through the perception of their beliefs, and that to them is reality. But it can't be, because it's not true for everyone all the time. So whose reality are we talking about here?
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to key into your why, because the world will tell you that you're supposed to have this, or it's supposed to be this particular way,
Oh,
but you're the master of your own universe, And I think it's important to key into that.
Yeah, yeah.
First of all, let me
Exactly.
apologize. I'm so sorry.
Not at
For
all,
some
Russ.
reason, my MacBook Air decided it wanted to be very unpleasant today, so I've had to restart it several times. This is a first for us, but I think Peter is a good omen for the show. Oh my gosh, I'm watching you guys from Peru.
Peru.
Come on.
That's Nurse Yoshi.
Amazing.
She is one of our frontline heroes, and she's
We
also a personal friend of mine. She's
Yoshi,
an angel
thank
on earth,
you.
that one. We love you, Nurse Yoshi.
Fantastic. Peru. So here we are doing our show, and it's being watched right now, Peter, in Manhattan,
Peru.
in Spain, and in Peru, and all over the
Peru.
UK,
And in New
of
Malden.
course. And most importantly, it's reaching New Malden. I got a question for you, Peter. And this is something which comes up time and time again, and it's a real bugbear with me. Why isn't what you are talking about as part of the school curriculum? Why? It's so
common sense. It's so
essential.
common.
And the reason it's so essential, I've never used
do you want a cynical answer?
Oh, what? Because
Let's
they
have a
want to keep
cynical
us,
one.
because they want to keep us stupid and in debt would be one of the answers, and also the educational system is still geared around the Victorian ethos, and most of that is irrelevant today.
It's gone.
It
Absolutely.
is
Turning
irrelevant.
people into workers and being a productive and good part of society.
There's no point.
I think that comes from.
Factories don't need fodder. Factories, it's. Oh God, it makes me crazy. But when somebody like you comes along,
I think
Peter,
the quote to counter that one, Russ, is don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go out there and do it. Because what the world needs is people who've come alive.
There we go.
100%. I get that, but of course, then society, the word I hate, but the society will say, "Well, look at Fred Smith. Left school. What's the matter with him? He doesn't want to go to university. No, it's all rubbish. Get an apprenticeship. Get work experience, etc." But Peter, you do two things which I really, really do admire. Is you take complicated issues and make it easy to understand, not in a condescending way, but in a way you think, and that's a hard act to pull off. Much like our next guest, Hatti, who takes and stick around if you'd like to, Peter. I know you're busy, but if you want to stick around, please do. Both you and Hatti take really complex issues and chop them up into digestible pieces. and you're passionate about what you do. It's not just a fad for you. This is something you live and breathe. But most importantly, you've been at the rough end of life, and look at you now. So that to me is an inspiration. That's a success.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, it's true. I'm not saying anything. So why is it? All right, let's put aside the cynical side and the Victorian ethos. Why isn't your stuff, basic budgeting, taught in schools?
Yeah, we weren't taught this at school.
No, nothing.
And that's why I think the book, I mean, when we were pitching for the book to the publishers, they said, look, we think that this book is something that will stand the test of time. And that's what I wanted to create. So for me, there is part of legacy with the book. Long after I'm gone, the book is going to be here. But I think fundamentally why this isn't taught in school is for precisely the reasons that you mentioned, Russ. When the curriculum was built, the world was a very, very, very different place. You would go into a job for life. You would have a final salary scheme pension. The world has transformed
gold watch, box of matchmakers.
Measurably. Yeah. And so we just haven't caught up. And that's what we need to do. And I'm really passionate about, working in that space to try and develop something that we can plug into schools.
Isn't it interesting that how many people's mindset, when we talk about beliefs of being absorbed in the past, and yet so many people, it's probably 95% maybe, I don't know, are still operating on those beliefs of the past. They're literally seeing
how
the
else?
past.
We don't know what to do.
You're seeing afresh.
But we don't know what else to do if you're told something time and time.
That's why we need inspired people like our. That's why we need inspired people like our esteemed guest today.
Yeah, but you know what, Peter? If you're told everything year after year, this is your reality. Of course, you're gonna believe it. It is shocking. Have you thought about trying to change this and get into because we'd work with you in a heartbeat on that. We would absolutely work with you in a heartbeat on trying to make this part of the educational curriculum. I think it's essential.
So the book, and so some of the work that I'm doing now is crucial to making that happen. I mean, to a certain extent, what you're talking about here is you're talking about lobbying the UK government to make tangible change in the education system. I mean, Martin Lewis has been trying to do this for years, and he's got a much, much bigger profile than I have.
At the moment, so at the moment, dream big, dream
indeed
big.
Indeed,
and he does it very well, and we need.
Martin Lewis is excellent. I mean,
absolutely,
credit where credit's due. Is terrific.
But what I think needs to happen is I've got a unique take on what I think will work best. And so far, there are a lot of people trying to make changes to provide stuff into schools, but they're missing one key factor. When you read government consultations, the issue is that you cannot expect teachers who don't understand the subject matter to be able to teach our kids. You're talking about money at the end of the day. So you need to make it relatable. You need to make it fun. You need to make it interesting. And so if you don't have background knowledge or experience, how are you going to make it interesting? My partner is a teacher. She does PE,
You're
right?
a teacher. Go and learn.
Yeah, but my partner is a prime example. She teaches PE. She doesn't know anything about geography. But she's asked to teach geography.
How does she find her way around the gym?
Well, good. Good. But you know what? But you get what I mean, right? But you get what I mean.
And it seems strange. It seems
strange. It needs people like yourself.
It needs people like you. It needs people like you. Not everyone.
Peter,
the best teachers aren't always people that are qualified as teachers.
Precisely
if you know what I mean.
So. They've got real life skills. What we're breeding, and I'm right up there with it, and I'm 50 million years older than you boys, is this. We've got people who are financially illiterate. They're completely fine. They haven't got a clue. It's taken me a lot of work to try and understand stuff. And trust me, along with Howard running 2 radio stations and all the plans we have for the future, suddenly, whoa, we got to learn a lot. A lot. That's not even talking about household budgeting, personal, but all the rest of the stuff. What you need, you know what I would do if I could wave a magic wand? I would have the Peter Komolafe Academy. Bear with me, I'm being serious. And I would train people, and I would send these people out into the educational system, because you can't do it on your own. That's what I'd
What's
do.
your big vision, Peter? I mean, you've got the book, that's your legacy. What's your big vision before you leave the legacy, or to add to the legacy?
I want to do something in the education space, and I think there's an interesting way to approach this using technology these days, and taking the responsibility away from the teachers in doing so. So that's something that I want to that I'm working towards actively right now. But again, profiles very, very important. I do have some connections within financial services who are kind of on the same page. They want to see this happen as well. But I think my profile needs to be a little bit bigger in order to really elicit the support that is required, and actually to get into government and say, look, we have done this, we've built this, we want to plug it in, but we want your sign off and your buy-in, so that it's not just something that gets plugged in or is offered, but it falls by the wayside because teachers don't have to use it. There's a lot of work to do, and that's what I would love to be able to actively work towards changing.
I think we have a lot more.
I wish you all the Godspeed, all the luck in the world, because I really believe in what you're doing.
Going off to the new world, is he? Listen, Peter, we've got a lot to talk about. Or maybe off air, back again on air. Want to have you back? Tell Boob Tax Tech that we'd like you back. But we've got stuff. Things are spinning in my mind.
Are you coming on Saturday, Russ?
I'll do my
You're coming on Saturday, right?
Yeah. All right.
If you can, that would be great. That would be great.
Yeah, you should drag Neil along. He doesn't get out of
Neil.
You've still got that tag on your ankle.
By all means,
Neil. Come along to what? I'm sorry.
I've got a book signing this Saturday just to celebrate the book.
Oh, whereabouts?
It's in London. It's on New Oxford Street, opposite Tottenham Court Road Station.
I'll send you the details.
I would love to. I've got a crazy day Saturday. I've got a ton of stuff to do, but I would very much like to keep
Peter,
in touch.
if you want, I've got to move on. Move on. Peter, if you want to hang. If you got a dash, fine. But
very quickly, where can you get the book?
The book is available on Amazon right now, or you can go to Waterstones, WH Smith's, but Amazon's probably the main outlet for people.
Because you get it tomorrow.
Grab it and get it tomorrow. Yeah.
I'm going
to buy that first job at 1:00. Lovely talking to you again, Peter.
Here she is.
Thank you, guys.
LinkedIn. Hopefully we can keep in touch.
Ladies and gentlemen,
thank you.
It's Hatti time.
Hatti!
Hey!
Suvari. Hatti Suvari.
Leave it.
She makes the law, not a bore. It's Hatti Suvari.
Oh, I like that. That is original, Neil.
She fought the law and the Hatti won. She fought the law and the Hatti won.
Listen, I was just listening to Peter. What a lovely chap, I can say at my age. And
your age, you want to swap?
Now, hold on, because money and law is very, very closely linked to two very serious areas of life. And I've got what we're doing at Get Legally Speaking to get legal education, and I think this is a great idea to get financial education into schools, workshops.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in the curriculum, because that will take you another dinosaur age at best.
Yeah.
But workshops is what we're targeting at doing, which means we will deliver the workshops to schools, where what Peter was saying is that teachers don't need to be trained up to deliver the work, if you like, the education, but the workshops will deliver. And interactive workshops is what we're going with, because we're trying to get people to interact with what they're learning, so they actually learn it and it sticks. Just a thought.
And sending love.
I think it's a great idea.
Hang on. Sending love up to Fife in Scotland to Sue Sleet. Just had a huge operation. Not going into details. It's private. Sue, we love you. Love to your son as well. There we go. Right, Hatti, let's crack on. I'm dying to get, our teeth into this.
Right. Does Neil know what we're going to talk about today?
He does now. Yeah, I know.
Oh my God, it's there.
Voyeurism and the dark side of social media. I do feel very strongly about this, and I'm really interested. So I'm going to be very quiet and just let you talk all about this, because it's not, for me personally, I'll just nail my colours to the mast, then I'll be quiet. It's not so much the crime of revenge porn that annoys me, but the effect it has on the victim, and it can absolutely wreck them. And in a show all about mental health, this is where this really gets my dander up.
Well, Neil, I'm with you all the way, because this is one area of life which people don't know much about when it happens to them, either because it's images that were taken when they were in a relationship, and then when they're not in the relationship, the other person decides, I'm going to splurge it all. Or it could be where their information has been taken without them even knowing, because it's been stolen from their, from their devices. And then
or faked, maybe.
Yes, and it's put out there, and they are being blackmailed, and people don't even know where to start with. How do I get help? What situations are these things happening? I mean, and this is why I wanted to talk about this, because mentally it breaks people. It breaks and it destroys people if something you don't want out there on social media, which is where the world at large is actually floating around, goes out.
It could be devastating.
Absolutely. People have sadly taken their own lives because of it now. Because they think, my family don't know that this exists. I've been tricked into doing it, or I trusted somebody and I shared a moment or an image or a video or a picture or a Snapchat, which you can also screenshot. And now I'm being blackmailed, or it's actually going to be out there because somebody's trying to be horrid.
Or humiliated.
Yeah,
or
people lose their
your
families.
life ripped apart. It's horrendous. It's horrendous.
Utterly. I mean, recently, reality star Stephen Bear was sentenced to 21 months in prison because he was found guilty of voyeurism and sharing private sexual images without consent.
What a creep.
Can we just define voyeurism? Because I've got a definition of it in my head. I don't think you mean it in the quite same way I'm thinking of it. So can you define voyeurism for us?
The actual meaning of it is the practice of obtaining sexual gratification from observing others. That's actually the definition of voyeurism, so to speak. And then you've got, well, what does revenge porn mean? Okay. And the definition of revenge porn is when someone posts sexually explicit videos or pictures of you online without your permission. And then they're shared maliciously to cause you distress. And we were saying, well, what circumstances does this happen in? Again, you're in a relationship where maybe the material was created voluntarily, but then you break up and the other person's got your images and they decide, in Stephen Bear's case, he thought, I'm going to put it on my fans only and make some money from this.
Jerk.
It could be images, videos taken without your permission at all, that were in your one of your devices, images that have been stolen from you, hacking of your devices. And then there's other ways where people entice other people, posing as completely differently to what they actually are, enticing them to make images or videos, and then being blackmailed by fraudsters. Is actually going on to say, now we've got this of you, we can now ask you for lots and lots of money.
Right.
Wow.
And what can we do about it? Where do we stand legally?
The headline is, any intimate image abuse is a crime. Okay, so it's illegal. It's punishable by a prison sentence, maximum 2 years in England and Wales. So you publish anything, share anything, or anyone does it to you without your consent, online or offline.
What crime are you breaking?
Oh, there's lots of laws that cover you, Neil. So and
define intimate, would you, as well, in this context?
Well, intimate, okay, intimate
21.
image abuse, but I should add to that, online abuse as well comes into that, which is putting somebody through abuse online. So it could be anything explicit or anything that you say is personal and private to you. Intimate image abuse is probably going to be, if you're naked, if you're doing something sexual, if you're doing something private, personal. That's what I would classify as intimate image abuse. But to answer your question, Russ, there's lots of laws actually, and just 3 of them: Protection from Harassment Act, 1997, Malicious Communications Act, 1988, Communications Act, 2003, Sexual Offences Act, 2003, and there's a Voyeurism Act of 2019.
I don't know that at all.
So there's lots of laws that if you go to the police and you say, this is out there without my consent, the person putting it out there is breaking lots of laws.
Hattie, let me ask you a very difficult question. The papers last night were full of condemnation of the Metropolitan Police after a full investigation.
I've been reading it for a long time.
Yes.
Reading up to it.
We'll park that to one side. That's another issue for another day. How do you know, especially a woman, I'm sorry to say it, but let's live in the real world. How do you know, especially as a woman, if you go to the police, they're not going to laugh their heads off, share it amongst their gang, and make the situation even worse?
Good question.
Do you know what, Russ? In this day and age, where we stand today, with the report that came out yesterday on the police commission, it's really difficult at the moment, I think, to have faith.
You see, I wouldn't go.
Right?
I don't think they'd do anything.
It is difficult to have faith. Now, having said that, I think that, and as you said, the discussion about the police commission and what the force has been up to internally, externally, whatever, is a different discussion. I do think that they have the magnifying glass out at the moment within the police force, and perhaps now that this report is out, hopefully, who knows, they're going to be even more vigilant about doing their jobs properly and correctly.
Hope so.
But there's no guarantees, right? That's the reality, isn't it?
But Hattie, when something's endemic, I don't want to divert too much, but when something's endemic and it's been going on for decades, it's really hard. It's like an ocean liner. You can't turn it around.
There are good coppers out there.
Of course there are. There are fabulous policemen out there. Absolutely wonderful.
And it's such a shame. It's such a shame that the police force has been tarnished by, and I think there is a lot of people doing wrong within the police force, but I do still think it's a minority compared to the whole police force, if you like.
So let's just say, God forbid, you've had a relationship for whatever reason you've filmed yourself doing, you can well imagine. Boom, you break up, and suddenly one of the partners is going to say, right, the hell with you, I'm going to destroy your life. It's obviously deeply embarrassing.
Yes,
it's horrible.
It's soul destroying. It would be soul destroying.
It is. I know there's laws, but talk us through the mechanics of what a person would do. Call her Mary Brown. What would Mary Brown do? Okay.
So the first thing you need to do is gather your evidence. Okay. And now this is based on, I think, whether you're going to go to the police or whether you're going to go to seek legal help and advice. And I'm going to come on to tell you where you can get some free confidential advice, where you can get that from. Take as many screenshots of the evidence as you can that it is being posted. Okay. Take screenshots of the accounts that are being used to either harass you, because we're talking about harassment and we're talking about revenge porn, and we're talking about somebody posting images or videos of you without your consent. So screenshots of what's going out, screenshots of the accounts that are actually posting them. Contact the platform that they're being posted on, and immediately say, I have not given my permission for these to be posted. Request it be taken down. And again, keep a copy of all communication that you have with either the perpetrator, where you say, get rid of it, take it down, destroy it, or the platform itself, where you say, take it down, it doesn't have my permission to be there.
Where do the platforms stand legally on obligations to do that?
Good question.
That is a very good question. And it's got about 50,000 shades of grey on it, to be honest with you, Neil. And this is my problem with social media, because I think social media used responsibly, properly, can do wonderful things for lots of people.
I agree.
However,
and
platforms,
if it's social media, and
terrible things.
They don't have, in my view, the legal responsibility to people that they should have. Period.
That's what I thought you'd say.
Period. You know, you've got teenagers taking their lives, right? Because they've been bullied online.
Yeah, we've had their parents as guests. Trust me, it's awful.
It is awful. I mean, you know, TikTok, you can switch on TikTok, okay, and you can see people swearing on it instantly. You can see explicit on Facebook the other day. I've gone in to get Legally Speaking Facebook page, and this explicit advert comes up on the right-hand side, and utterly, it was porn. Now, the responsibility, unfortunately, legally, is not being taken by the platforms, period. And that's just from my little experience of social media.
I don't understand. Now, you are a legal expert. Slight diversion here. what I don't understand is they have these algorithms, and friends of mine, even myself, have been banned for like a week or a couple of days for the most innocuous nothing.
I
Really?
know.
Yeah. Nothing. Like nothing.
Wow.
And yet there's you, and there's a completely, I mean, like a little gag. And other people go, what? And yet the algorithms
Yeah.
allow pure filth or pornography to go through. How can that
Or
possibly
even
be?
worse, really disturbing stuff like encouraging
Yeah.
people to harm themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
awful,
my God.
Awful.
Oh my God. I mean, it is awful. And I have to say, it still boggles my mind how social media can be allowed to circulate really soul destroying, damaging information, period. I mean, unless it's a by membership account, this stuff should not be allowed out there, but it is. And one of my top tips is to report it to the police. And I hear what you're saying, Russ. I really do. But if you report it and you stress out that you want this to be a confidential report, you stress out that perhaps members of your family or your friends or your household are not aware that you're reporting it, and you want utter confidentiality, that is, a step you can take.
Hattie, are they bound to do that?
If you're over the age of 18 and you're not a child essentially, and you've asked for to report something confidentially, then why should they go to your household and say, oh, well, we need to speak to the members of your household?
Do a hell of a lot of things.
I get it.
Flies out the bloody window. What happened? Now, you've raised a very interesting point. You're over 18, you're an adult, you can say, fine. If you're a child, and let's be brutally, horribly honest, again, as I always say, we live in the real world. There are children. 13.
I know what you're going to say.
13, 14 who are filming very explicit sexual stuff. Their parents should be notified, not notified. What happens here?
Well, their parent had to be notified if they've gone to the police.
So if the child, say the child...
Because you're responsible, as a parent, you're responsible for your children. If your children get into any trouble, the police, the school, the authorities will come to you as a parent and
this is under 18, is it? Under 18?
Yes.
Not 16. Can we stress
your parents
that?
have parental
18.
responsibility of, and we'll do a shot on this. A parent has parental responsibility until the child is 18. A child can move out at 16
and join the army
having
and have sex. Presumably.
Well, this is it. You can have sex at 16, but you can't drive till you're 17, and you've got parental responsibility over you until you're 18.
Yeah, makes sense of that.
Talk about the Victorian times, which you touched on earlier.
Makes sense of that, folks. All right, so now you've gone to the police. You've gone to the police. You've written to the platforms. Nothing's happening. Let's just look at the worst case scenario. You've done the Hattie plan, right? We've done that.
Okay.
Listen to what Hattie said. Nothing.
Okay.
Step 2.
That I want to give you 3 websites where you can get free help and advice, confidential help and advice. Okay. And they're particularly good for any online bullying, harassment, abuse, revenge porn. There's specific victim support places to get help, and they know what they're doing, they know what they're talking about, and they'll be able to help you again confidentially. So the first one is www.thecyberhelpline.com, CYBER helpline.com.
Thanks, Neil.
The second one,
slow down. The cyber, and if you're listening to this on Deluxe, it's www.thecyberhelpline, all one word.com. Thecyberhelpline.com.
Second one, www.victimsupport, all one word, .org.uk, who also have a telephone number. And I'm happy to repeat that if you'd like that to be shared as well.
Neil, if
which
Neil's
is
ready with his nimble fingers.
0345 6000 459. And the third one is
Neil's hand's going to fall off in a minute.
They're burning. I can see the
There's
steam coming off of them.
My
there.
hands are
Yeah.
a blur.
Right,
Hopefully-
www.saferinternet.org.uk. These are, so you've gone to the police. We say, for the example that we're going to use, the police aren't doing much about it or not acting quick enough or something. You can call. I've just given you 3 website addresses, which I took a look at, and I thought these are bloody good.
All right.
And you
good.
can go, it's free advice and help with a telephone number. And then if you want to ramp up your position into getting some help, I'm going to have to say, you have to get some legal help from somebody who specializes in this area of work. Don't go, it's like going to a GP, a general practitioner that knows a little bit about all the, no, go to a specialist that specializes in assisting you with revenge porn,
There
image
you go.
abuse.
Look at this. Look at this.
All of it.
Hattie, look at this. I
Oh,
wish I had
dear.
this information when it happened to me. It nearly destroyed me. That's Julie
Yeah.
Voice, who's just back from Houston, Texas, now in somewhere else. And Leslie says you can no longer get married at 16. Okay.
So the
go to a specialist lawyer.
Go to a specialist lawyer and get help quickly, or get help and advice from one of the 3 websites is an example where you can call up and get help, because not getting help and burying your head in the sand means that information is going to get out or continue to get out or spread further than what it may have already done.
One of the technical problems with this, and I'm sure you'll agree, is that Fred Smith posts video of him having sex with Mary Brown. He's forced to take it down. But all of Fred Smith's mates, and then people that he doesn't know, because it spreads like a virus,
Yes.
that's when it goes crazy. That's when it goes crazy. So the actual perpetrator may have said, hey, I've taken it down. Nothing to do with me now. Where does he stand if other people, many of whom he may never have met, decide they want to post this thing?
Well,
And where
first
do
of
they
all,
stand legally?
Oh,
if you
good point.
contact them and say take it down, or you get in touch with the platform that it's on and tell the platform to take it down, and they don't, then they're committing a criminal offence.
Then it comes back to point number 1.
Then it comes back to point number 1. It is against the law. It is a criminal offence if the person that it's about does not consent. Doesn't matter who it is. You cannot post it. Now, there is a wider
What if they
issue
didn't
to
know?
this.
What if they got sent one of the saucy video on a WhatsApp group and went, "Oh yeah, I'm going to share that with the lads," but
Well,
they didn't know? Is that
you
crime?
may have read, and I certainly have. I've seen it in the past where people have said, this ended up on my phone. It wasn't me that sought it and got it out, and they've got into trouble. Anything
Yeah,
you
that
receive,
can happen. It's worth
Jeez.
bringing up here. That
they've got
WhatsApp,
in.
I don't know if it's still got it.
Yeah, they've got into trouble.
WhatsApp
So
had a setting. Really frozen.
Oh, you're frozen. That's a really interesting
It's
thing.
worth.
Wow.
Before we go on, really important to flag here, WhatsApp used to have a setting because there was someone who I didn't particularly want contacting me, and they were taking loads of pictures, trying to get my attention. Not inappropriate pictures, it was just a bit annoying. But every single one ended up on my phone camera roll.
Oh, yes.
And I
of course
had
it
to-
that
does.
is
Oh,
that
God.
is awful.
I've
And I had
forgotten
to go
that.
into
Yes, it
WhatsApp and
does.
change a setting or hire a
Disappearing
Tina
messages or
because I didn't know how to
something.
do it.
Yes.
To change the setting, and then it struck me afterwards, they could be sending anything. They could send
Yeah.
the most awful
Should we
things.
have a
They'd be on
look?
my camera roll, and how am I
Let's
going to
have a-
explain them being on my camera roll when I didn't even do it?
But I know what you mean, because that I got caught out with that. And how I got caught out is when people send you jokes and short videos that are supposed to be funny that I haven't actually gone into, but I've opened the message. Then I've
Disappearing.
gone into my
messages.
photos, and then all of a sudden you see everything there. And I thought, I don't want that. I don't want what's gone into WhatsApp on my photo roll, because it's stuff
No.
that
Yeah.
sometimes I don't.
I'll tell you
I'm
what,
not-
I'll Google how to change that setting. I'll put it on the screen. You guys carry on
Hang
for a bit.
on, hang on. I'm looking at it now. This is a really good point. You can report, block, clear chat, export chat, or add shortcut. Now, it does have, for example,
you
media
can have it
link
so it
and
doesn't
doc.
automatically save any
Ooh.
messages or videos that are sent to you. Because what the other problem it was giving me is it was duplicating what I did want to save. So it was duplicating that because it was automatically saving itself. Then I would press save myself and it was just a nightmare. But on that point, let me just be clear here. If you are sent anything that compromises somebody else and you don't want to get in potential trouble, immediately delete it. Don't share it. Don't keep it. Don't do anything. Delete it, because you could be questioned and you could be brought to the table.
Here's the thing, though, and I just want to point this out. And again, this is tech. This isn't morals. This is tech. All right. But the point Neil has made is an excellent point, backed up by Hattie. If you get this stuff, it's automatically on your phone. Now, I don't go through all my photos. I might look at stuff and think, oh, the hell with this, and get rid of a WhatsApp message or not join the group or delete loads of stuff. Of course I do. I get sent way too much stuff. It's on your phone often as a photo and you don't know. And remember, many of your phones are automatically linked to your PCs.
Yeah, mine is. I'm all Mac.
You know, you've got
iPad, laptop, desktop, phone, all linked up.
They're linked up,
I
and you don't
how
know
all
that
these
you've got
photos
it.
get in there. I thought I didn't take these photos.
No, that's
and
what
it was
I've got.
basically this annoying woman trying to get my attention, and I don't mean that rudely,
You're an
but
attractive
you know,
man.
she was just a bit. It wasn't inappropriate what she was saying. It was just
No, but it's
intrusive.
annoying.
It could have been.
And it's time
It could have
consuming. It could have been ghastly. Yes.
Yeah, but you don't set yourself up. Anything that comes to your phone that you don't want on there that is about somebody else, just delete it. Just get rid of it. Honestly. Do you want to read that out? Neil?
Yeah, sure. Paul Claridge. Yeah, sure. Paul Claridge said, a good friend of mine, who I won't name here, has been battling anorexia all her adult life. Oh, my. She's come through it and now promotes herself as a makeup artist and costume maker. Well done on coming through it. She became a victim of a particularly nasty online troll that made the most vile sexual comments. The police were involved and were brilliant. The social media platform, on the other hand, instead of dealing with the perpetrator, blocked her access to her account while the troll was still able to post the abuse.
Oh,
she was.
Jesus.
Can you put the rest of that up, Paul, please? And I'll put the rest of it up. She
Paul,
was.
Put it as part 2, please, mate. Head to setting, then chats. Turn
Do you
off
know-
media visibility.
That's on Android.
Oh, that's me.
Okay.
I
Okay.
tell you what I would look
And
at
there's
doing.
the iOS instructions.
Can I just
don't know which is
say,
which. I
if
don't know
a
what I'm
media
doing here.
platform put anything of me on there that I did not approve and it was damaging, it was deeply distressing, I would issue a claim. I don't want to become litigious. I would issue a claim against the platform. I honestly would, because it can interfere with your career. You could
All
lose
of
your
that.
career.
What are the
You could
chances?
lose
of
your career,
What
you
are the
could- your
chances
fun-
of? You're absolutely right. I
You
mean,
know,
it's
it is
devastating.
absolutely devastating.
What are the chances of us as little individuals taking on the giants of tech?
Well, that's another show, because actually,
Okay.
don't be afraid of who you're up against. Again, I'm not telling people to go rush and start issuing claims and become a litigious society. But if you've got a good case and you have done your homework and you've got your evidence and you know what you're doing and you've got decent legal help, you've done your homework, don't ever be afraid. Don't ever be afraid. I say that from personal experience.
Good point. Good point.
So-
David and Goliath.
Boy, I love this part of the week. You know, it's. I was hoping when we met it would be good. I didn't know it would be this great.
Brilliant, Hattie.
Oh,
You
Russ, you're
really-
just saying
You
that.
really do. Like our
No,
first
no,
guest, you have
But
a
Hattie, I
way
don't
of taking
Hattie, I don't have
things
to
that
say
are complicated.
things. Yeah, and this is a horrible way to end. But you know, Paul's right. His pal, she was the innocent victim, and she was made to take the blame.
Yeah, I know.
Great.
It's the
Thanks,
social
Ed.
media
Ridiculous.
platforms.
Thanks,
They have
Keith.
too
Thanks,
much
everyone.
power and they control too much, and there isn't any regulation, enough regulation, let me say, that actually puts them back in check for the well-being of society, who are the users of these
Because
social
Let's
media
they
give those
hide
website addresses out
the-
again, because this is really valuable. It's the
Yes,
cyberhelpline.com
yes.
or victimsupport.org.uk,
Dot
phone number
org.uk.
0345. Pardon?
Yep. .org.uk, that's correct, yeah.
.org.uk.
Yeah, it is correct.
Is that correct? What's on the
Yeah.
screen? Please tell me
Yeah.
if it's not.
I'll repost
0345
this.
6459.
I'll repost this.
Or hang on, Russ, saferinternet.org.uk.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Well,
Please
that's
seek
it.
help and advice. Don't go quiet. Don't go into a shell. Don't just suck it up, because the ongoing effect of it can be destroying.
Hatti Suvari, bless you. your podcast, Get Legally Speaking. You can always check it out and find I edit the videos
I
afterwards.
finish on a happy
Find
note.
Oh.
Got to finish on a happy note. Hattie, I've made you a jingle. Are you ready to hear it?
Always.
All right, here we go. She's a number one. She makes the law fun. She's cool. She's chatty. We love you, legal Hattie. Yo!
Thank you, Neil. I love it. I'm going to make sure I do a TikTok just on that clip, just for you.
I think you should.
Please,
make
God,
sure you ask my
me.
permission, though.
Oh, please, God, tell me this
Do
is
I have
over.
your permission, Neil?
Yes,
No.
you do.
Hattie, see
Got
you
it.
next week. Neil, see
Signed
you
and
next
sealed.
week. Bye,
Much
gang.
love.
Take care.